totals for SEC teams yesterday. And we got through 10 of the 14 teams. Well, 9 of the 14 teams. Haydad and Borky decided that we weren't going to talk about Missouri because they don't think Missouri should be in the SEC.
There's just no need.
And so we were left with the 4 highest win totals in the conference, according to Caesar Sportsbook, to take a look at. Tennessee coming in at 9. Total number of wins for the Tennessee Vols at 9. They are replacing Hendon Hooker at quarterback. They are replacing Jalen Hyatt at wide receiver. It was a fast, prolific offense a year ago. They have spent a running ton of money in the portal. Tennessee at 9 wins. You guys like the over or the under?
I don't think they'll beat Alabama again. I mean, that game is in Tuscaloosa. And then I don't think they'll beat Georgia. So I'm just asking myself, do I think they're not going to slip up, right? Because those are the only 2 games they're probably likely to not be favored in.
They open the season in non-conference play with Virginia in Nashville. They have Austin Peay, they have UTSA, and they have UConn as the non-conference opponents.
I would stay away, but if I bet, I would take the over.
I think I would go under.
Okay.
Tentatively,
really?
Yeah.
Not
at Florida?
Not a Milton maniac?
Not a Milton maniac at Georgia, Alabama. I mean, I think Tennessee's better than Texas A&M, and I make fun of Jimbo all the time, but that's not a game that you just walk through. At least it shouldn't be. And we don't know about Milton. Yeah, he looked good against Vanderbilt. Okay. He did. But he lost his job for a reason. And how much more accurate as a passer can you get? We'll certainly find out.
Based on where he was, he can get a lot more accurate.
And the arm strength is real. He's a good athlete, too. Big guy. But when you're starting off behind the 8 ball. But on the same token, you know, I've been giving Alabama wins against a lot of people, but we got to remember about Alabama, as we're going to get to them here soon, I assume. There's just 10. That was an Alabama team, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, but they lost 2 games. Should have been 5. It should have been 5. And from that
could
team,
have. I don't know about should have.
I mean, I don't know. Either way, could have been 5. And that team lost the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, apparently a first-round pick at running back, the best defensive player in the game, about a dozen other guys, and both coordinators. And now their quarterback room, you don't love it. You certainly don't love it. Not compared to what they've had the last few years.
It's less good than it was a year ago.
And so, of course, you should give a Nick Saban coached Alabama team the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. But I do wonder if the benefit of the doubt is going to blind people from what is reality, in that, and it is that I think Alabama is going to be very mortal in 2023. They're still, they're going to compete for the West still. Probably going to win double-digit games. But it's not going to feel insurmountable the way it has years prior.
All right, so let's just jump to Alabama for a second. 10 is their number. Middle Tennessee in the non-conference, Texas in week 2 at home, at USF, new coach at USF, and Chattanooga in week, their next to last game of the year.
It doesn't matter. Their non-conference games are irrelevant.
Except for Texas.
It's just...
Texas is absolutely relevant in week 2.
I think they'll win that game. It's funny, a few months ago I would have...
But are you doing that based on benefit of the doubt from for Nick Saban? Or are you doing it based on...
I was about to explain, and then you just interrupted me. It was incredible. I was about to explain everything. A couple months ago, before spring practice ended, I had totally bought in that Ty Simpson was going to be the next great Alabama quarterback. I was like, all right, he's got the pedigree, 5-star kid. He'll be a great fit in this offense. And now I've kind of gotten away from that. I still think they're talented enough to beat Texas at home. Because as you said earlier, are they going to have 12 penalties again? Probably not. And I don't know that I buy into Texas as much as Bill Bender was. I'm not as far down the road as Borky is, just ready to tell them that they're terrible. But I think Alabama goes 4-0, and then it's just, what are they doing in conference? I think they'll beat Tennessee. They get LSU at home. Who's beating them? Anything we're picking.
You may think
here?
I'm crazy.
I know it's 10.
Let me raise a possibility.
Okay.
We don't believe in Texas A&M, right? But for whatever reason, Texas A&M plays its best game of the year every single year against Alabama.
Yeah.
October 7th, middle of the season, in College Station. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm not going to go down that road with you. I would tell you, like I said, any Alabama loss is a big upset in my opinion. So, do I think they get upset twice next year? No, I don't. I would go over.
So if Alabama was going to lose 2 games, who would those 2 be?
Tennessee and LSU, even though those are both at home.
Both at home.
Their road games don't really worry them.
They have Tennessee at home on October 21st, and then an open date, and then LSU at home on November 4th.
That should actually be the third Saturday. Good job, SAC.
Man, that game in College Station's interesting to me. Texas A&M, they are perpetual underachievers. They are such a paper tiger, but man, I can't get out of my head that they had to throw to the end zone to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa last year. I can't get that out of my head. Horrible play
without
call,
Bryce Young,
but still.
Right?
Without Bryce Young, but that's Alabama's situation this year.
But that was also when Texas A&M hadn't figured it out at quarterback yet either.
That's right.
Yeah. I just don't see them being upset twice.
LSU at 9.5. To me, you're like, okay, I need to know the outcome of the season opener against Florida State.
Yeah. That's the swing game for all of this.
Ooh, we'll pick up LSU. Be nuts, man. That is going to be such a fun football game. I think Florida State has a chance to be really good. Travis is a star, or a budding star. I don't think the country knows about him yet. Not fully.
That game is in Orlando on September the 2nd, or do they play that one on the 3rd? Sunday, September 3rd, all by itself. That'll do a massive number. We got a note a second ago on the C Spire text line, and it says, and I think this is reasonable. Ole Miss won't be a cakewalk for Alabama either.
They had to throw to, and somebody else pointed out, it was an omission on my part. They had to throw to the end zone. And remember, Alabama was gifted. Okay, that's not fair. I was going to say gifted a touchdown. Evans fumbled on a play where you could have thrown targeting, but he was concussed, and in the concussion, let go of the football. Not Zach Evans' fault. His head got hit, man. If you let go of a football when your head gets hit that hard, it just happens. But Alabama was given a touchdown there. That was deep in Ole Miss's own territory. They were going to go in the half, and then that happened, and it changed the game. Right? That was right before halftime, wasn't it?
I'm going to have to take your word for it. I was doing a football game that day, and I watched the fourth quarter on my phone on the way to the airport.
Either way, that fumble led to an Alabama touchdown deep in Ole Miss's own territory. If that elbow hits the ground first, totally different conversation. Now, again, ifs and buts were candy and nuts, Merry Christmas, horseshoes, hand grenades, all that stuff. But still, that Ole Miss team and that Alabama team with the Heisman Trophy winner and Will Anderson and all those guys had to throw to the end zone, not a Hail Mary, a design play, throw to the end zone to win that game. Didn't catch the ball. Wasn't an accurate throw either, but they were that close.
Yeah. So we were talking about LSU. Their win total is 9.5. They open the season with Florida State. They get Grambling in week 2. They've got Army in Baton Rouge on October 21st and Georgia State on November 18th. By the way, that is an interesting spot on the schedule for Army. I don't think that that's necessarily like upset alert time for LSU.
What's the date of it again?
October 21st.
That is weird to be playing non-conference for LSU there.
After you're playing,
They normally
Auburn,
knock them out 1, 2, 3, and then play. Yeah.
After Auburn, and that game's always weird.
It's a 5-game stretch of conference games the week leading up to Army. At Mississippi State, Arkansas, at Ole Miss, at Missouri, Auburn.
Wait, isn't Army getting away from the traditional triple option? I think I read that, where they're still going to do it, but they can't do the old school one because of chop blocking rules. They can't do it anymore.
Still, though, that's a game where you could see, like at the half, it's like 17-17, and you're like, what's happening? And then LSU pulls away there.
Yeah, they're going to – yep, exactly. I was right. Jeff Munkin, who, by the way, somebody needs to take a shot on him. But either
Good
way,
football coach.
They are they're moving from an under center option to a shotgun-based one. And now Air Force already does that. And I know this personally because he came from Air Force to Furman, but Furman runs a shotgun triple option because their coach was the OC at Air Force. So it's obviously doable, and the service academies use it. But, yeah, no more traditional under center triple option from Army anymore. End of an era.
When you're talking about service academy football, also it's going to look a little bit different this year at Navy as well, with Brian Newberry now as the head coach. Ken Niumatalolo was fired at the end of the season, and in late December they named Brian Newberry as the new head coach. So we'll see what Navy does as well. So do you like over or under 9.5? Is LSU a 10-win team this year?
Like you said, I need to know who wins that first game. If they beat Florida State, yeah, they'll be a 10-win team easily. If not, it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah,
it feels like they've already got at least 11 on defense that will look like an LSU defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, having Perkins is probably enough to make everybody else look like an LSU defense.
What if you could add Harold Perkins to Ole Miss and Mississippi State, the one player? What would Ole Miss and Mississippi State's over/under total move to? Ole Miss is at 7.5, State's at 6.5. If you added that one single player, what would it change?
It goes up a win. Yeah, he's worth a win. I mean, with State all of a sudden has the best linebacking core maybe in the country. With Perkins, Pookie Watson, and Jet Johnson, I mean, I'll take those three over just about anybody. And then for Ole Miss,
you could be looking at a linebacker core of Perkins and Perkins.
Yeah.
No relation?
Be a law firm. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that would be, I mean, he would step in and immediately, without question, be the number one player on the Ole Miss roster for defense. No question about it. So,
and at Mississippi State too, right?
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
Feels like there's a little more competition for that title at State than there is at Ole Miss, though.
I don't disagree with that, but I mean, he's a preseason first-team All-American.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're using that think word.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, it's written in stone.
Well, that's Richard's role.
It came down from on high, from Mount Ararat, from the Lord above. Yes, is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I wasn't definitive enough. I wasn't pounding the table that Harold Perkins.
Well, who else would be in the conversation?
I mean, it's when I think about it, I mean, it's not as close as I first thought it was, but probably Crumity. But Crumity's not an All-American.
But
Crumity's a really good football player. Can't have that in my house.
Crawfishing. Brian Haydad, crawfishing. What about Georgia at 11.5? You think they're going undefeated? Do you want the Georgia schedule? Let me give it to you. You ready for this?
I mean, I hope all of you are sitting down for this.
UT Martin, Ball State, South Carolina, UAB, all at home, by the way. At Auburn, Kentucky. At Vanderbilt, open date. Cocktail party in Jacksonville, Missouri. Ole Miss. At Tennessee, at Georgia Tech.
Little sidebar on the world's largest outdoor can't say cocktail party anymore. The stadium's going to be getting renovations, and they might play the game on campuses during those renovations. And guess what? The game will never do again after that.
They will stay on campus. Yeah. I always feel like I got to say this. Georgia was supposed to play Oklahoma this year, and they got taken away by the conference. Yeah. I always feel bad. Like we're so hard on them. Like they had a really good non-conference game scheduled, and the conference said you need to cancel that.
Was that week 2 against Ball State?
I believe that's correct. Yes.
All right.
The Jags might have to play. They might have to. They're trying to figure out how to get them to not do this, but the Jags might have to spend 2 seasons not playing in their home stadium. That is on the table for them for these renovations.
Just play them all in London?
At this rate.
To answer the question, I would take the over on Georgia. They will go undefeated in the regular season.
At Tennessee, November 18th?
That's the only question mark, but I just feel like they will win that game.
Yeah. And as the season unfolds, maybe there are games that get more interesting. You know, if Ole Miss is better than they are thought to be going into the year, maybe you look at that game on November 11th a little bit differently. If Devin Leary is a Heisman candidate going into the October 7th game, maybe you look at that Kentucky game with a slightly different lens. Georgia, South Carolina has been weird at times through the years.
It has.
Week 3, maybe. Is that a game that looks a lot like their game against Missouri did last year? Possibly. I don't know. But no, on paper, you are inclined to take Georgia over 12.